But what does every search engine, social media platform want? They want happy customers. So if you create content and you create engagement that makes their customers happy, you get more. So the previous speaker, I heard him talking about responding to people. You know, if I wouldn't be on Facebook, but let's say I'm on LinkedIn and Dumont posts something and I respond to her, the algorithm is connecting me to her. So there's a higher chance that I am going to see her post and she's going to see my post. Now, because I've talked to Dumont's going to respond to me. She's just not going to ignore me. She's not going to ghost me. So that is, again, increasing the algorithm. So to do the algorithm, to, try to stop knowing everything and just provide the best customer service you can. Don't use what's called black hat strategies. Don't try to cheat the system.
Oh, is that what that is? That black hat strategies is like gaming the system?
Yes. Okay. Years ago, this was a big one, years ago. And everybody's going to catch this and it can blacklist you for life. So please don't do it. I am not advocating this. But before 2010, a lot of people would keyword stuff. But if their background on their website was white, then they would put visibility.
I remember that, yeah.
That is a black hat strategy. You're trying to cheat the system, okay? I'm very honest. I'm very high in integrity. That's one of my values, but I would never do that. Let's say on Facebook, this is another black hat strategy, and you will get in trouble on Facebook for doing this. You see people doing it, but again, it can blacklist you. Is people will say, if you're a woman, mark love. If you're a man, mark like. Now you're getting engagement on your post. You're getting engagement on your post, but they're engaging because they don't want to be left out and they think they have to answer this question, right? If you're a Beatles fan, say yes. If you're not a Beatles fan, say no, right? I mean, just crazy things like that. So there are still strategies that people use on social media as well as on Google that are black hat, and steer away from those because you don't want to be blacklisted for life. But again, the first mistake with SEO, it can cost you a lot of time, energy, and money, especially considering that they change their algorithms all the time. Yeah. But they want to make their customers happy. So if you make them happy and you're on the up and up, you'll be okay.
And that's something I get asked about a lot. And you see a lot of articles, understanding the LinkedIn algorithm or how to, and, good luck. Good luck with that.
Exactly.
It's because by the time you figure out how to deal with one part of it, they're going to change it again.
Exactly. Exactly. So as long as you're on the up and up and you're engaging, you're going to be okay. I know there's something else I want to talk to about with SEO. Might come back to me, but just, I remember people think, hey, if I'm number one on Google, I'm going to have all these clients. Mm-hmm. And that's not true. And that's why people think SEO is so important.
Yeah.
With my blog post, I use Yoast plugin. I make sure all the little buttons are green, and then I forget it. I don't go back to it. Okay. Sometimes it might be found, sometimes it won't. But I sat there and I did my own little personal study. It was just me with my clientele and my visitor website. So I can't say, it's not per se the scientific thing. But what I found was, if somebody came to my website from Google, they stayed on my website less than a minute.
Wow.
If somebody came to my website from any social media platform, they stayed on my website for 5 minutes.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
A very big difference.
Yeah.
And then if they came to my website from a direct referral, Dumont sends out an email, hey, go visit Cindy's website. Or I have a blog post on her website and they come to me from there, they stayed on my website an average of 10 minutes.
Wow.
So therefore, if you start spending more time on social media directing people to your website, or you spend time creating relationships and have other people direct to your website, it's going to be more beneficial than spending all that time, money, and energy on it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So mistake number 2 is just not stepping into your superpower. Your superpower is your unique self. It's showing up and it's being completely authentic. And believe me, it takes time. We're all growing and learning. It's the sum of your beliefs, values, and habits. It's your quirks as well as your strengths. So as far as, being completely authentic, even if you're completely authentic, some people may not see you that way, but you need to feel good about yourself. I mentioned earlier that I had COVID really bad last year and lost my hair. So I put all these pictures up on Facebook of my bald head. And anytime I would speak, and I know DeMond remembers this, the first
I
thing
do, and I love it. I'm so glad you're telling this story.
I would say, hey, I'm wearing a wig, or I would say, I'm wearing this hat because I lost all my hair. Because this was the elephant in the room that made me feel so uncomfortable.
Sure.
Losing my hair was very traumatic to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to not be visible. I couldn't just close my business down till my hair grew back. So therefore, I just bet the elephant, right? Like, hey, I'm wearing a wig. A lot of people loved my wig and didn't even realize I was wearing one, but I hated it. I didn't feel like me. And if you're doing something that doesn't quite feel like you, people are going to notice it. Yeah. And they're not going to trust you. They don't know why, but they're not going to trust you. So if there's an elephant in your room, let people know what it is. But anyways, I wrote this blog post, and I get an email from one of my subscribers. You are the most unauthentic person I've ever met. And I was like, this is what I thought. What do you mean I'm unauthentic? I just posted all these pictures of me bald on Facebook, right? And I'm like, really? But then I thought, I wonder if she unsubscribed from my email list. So I looked at my email list, and she never unsubscribed. So I unsubscribed for her, and I wished her well. Because if she was thinking I was inauthentic, I never could have helped her from anything that I did. I could not say anything or write anything that would have helped her. I could have stayed down. I was like in my little angry mode for about 5 to 10 minutes, if that. But if I would have stayed there, I would have only been hurting me. And I would have been hurting my business because I wouldn't have been showing up as me. But I decided, and I do with a lot of things, I just release them. And I sincerely hope they find the right people that's going to help them. Because she's not a part of my flock. She's not one of my birds. That's not hear my voice. I cannot help her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's okay. Because I don't want to help all millions and billions of people that's on this planet, because it would be too much for me to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cindy, you said something to me one time that kind of relates to this. And, it's... Well, maybe it doesn't, but this is how I think of it. You emphasized not being pushy. You said something to the effect of, if they don't want to work with me, or if I have to persuade them, to hire me, I don't want them as a client. Could you expound on that?
I will in just 1 second.
Okay.
I do want to add this part with the email. After I released this girl, 5 minutes later, I got an email from another subscriber. I just love your emails. You're just so authentic. Authentic people, right? So remember, you have this. You're never going to please everybody, and your people are going to love you, and you really want to hone in on that. And this is about you being yourself too. And it's 100% me. I am what's called a soft sale. Because if I sit there and I talk you into working with me, it never works out for me. It's always a toxic relationship. I don't want toxic relationships with my clients.
No.
And years ago, back in 1982, I started selling Tupperware. I actually became a Tupperware manager in 5 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
Right? To be a Tupperware manager, You had to sell $2,000 worth of Tupperware yourself. You had to recruit 5 people, and you and the 5 people together had to have sold $5,000 worth of Tupperware. Now, I did this in 5 weeks in 1980.
Wow.
That was a lot of Tupperware, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a manager because my husband and we had 2 babies, and we had a little Chevy Love pickup. And whenever you was a Tupperware manager, you got a car. Like, wow, I get this car, right? So that was my motivation. But they were always talking about overcoming objections. And I still get asked today, how do I overcome objections?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you do have to address if people have questions. But to me, overcoming objections is trying to talk somebody into doing something they don't want to do.
Yes.
In Tupperware, one of them was, if somebody said, oh, I just moved to the neighborhood and don't know anybody, then you're supposed to say, oh, what a great way for you to meet all your neighbors. You can go and invite all your neighbors. Or they say, nobody would come to my Tupperware party because they're already all at this one. Oh, hey, who of you that's here want to go to Dumont's Tupperware party if she has one, right? So to me, these are manipulative. They are not influencing. It's a huge difference between influencing somebody and manipulating them.
Yes.
But every time, literally every single time, as a Tupperware person, and I was in Tupperware for like 7 years, I think, until my kids started school and we moved, and then I went back to banking, and then went to social services, and now I'm coach. But every single person that I ever did the overcoming objection with, they either canceled or nobody showed up at their parties. They were never good.
Interesting.
The people that raised their hand said, yes, I want it. They have great parties. And they kept me going. So you take that into coaching. When I became a divorce coach, I was using the overcoming objections. And this girl hired me. Every single week when I would coach with her, she would yell at me for the way that I pronounced woman versus woman. And I would get off the phone and cry. I have a very, I've grown, but I'm very sensitive because I know I don't pronounce everything correctly.
Sure.
I went to speech class through the 7th grade. I always say I was a very confused child. My mother was from New York and my dad was from the South. So I was inundated with these 2 very distinct voice, what do you call that? Accents, right? And verbiage. Like, New Yorkers say something different than like Southern people. Even today, I'll say things and my husband will go, there you go, making up words again. And so I'll Google it. And 9 times out of 10, it's a Southern slang.
Okay.
And so that on top of not being able to pronounce right. So it really affected me. One time somebody did not hire me because they didn't like the way I pronounced something. I mean, they literally told me, we didn't hire you because you can't say that word. It's like, okay.
Okay.
So I've had experiences. So for her to yell at me constantly, I was very quickly thinking, coaching's not for me. I can't handle this.
Yeah.
I can't handle somebody yelling at me because of the way that I talk. Like, I try to pronounce things correctly and not everything does. Like my husband and I, we actually got into a fight because he was so insistent on it. And typically he's not as insistent as he was that day. But we were driving to Phoenix. It's a 90-mile drive. And he was trying to teach me, and I still can't say the dang word, Saguaro. It's the cactus, and I know that I'm saying it wrong, but in my head, I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you say it this way. And I'm like, no. And so we got in this big fight because I just can't say that word.
Yeah.
And it's always caused problems for me and issues. But again, this is me being me and me sharing with you something that's vulnerable, hey, I can't talk. But when this girl was yelling at me, I would cry. And then my coach told me, she goes, fire her. I go, really? I can fire her? And my coach said, yes, fire her. Number one, if she's so hung up on the way you're pronunciating things, she's not going to learn from you.
That's true. Yeah, good point.
Right? And I was like, just forget it. I'm never going to use overcoming objections again. Just not going to do it because I never have luck with it.
Yeah.
And I am a very loving, giving person, and I want to have good relationships with my clients. There's very few clients that I've ever had that I wouldn't go to lunch with or invite them to my house. And this is the type of relationships I want to have both with my colleagues and with my clients.
Right. Absolutely.
So being yourself, you don't have to air all of your dirty laundry. You don't have to tell everybody every single thing about you, but you do have to be a little bit vulnerable, and you do have to show up as yourself. Don't try to be somebody you're not. When you try to be somebody you're not, or you try to be perfect, which a lot of us try to do, then, we can spot a phony a mile away. And so therefore it's just learn to be you, because whenever you try to act perfect, you appear unreal and this untrustworthy. Some of you, I shared on Facebook, I was playing around yesterday. And so I bought this AI tool that makes headshots. And so I posted the headshots on Facebook. And I'm like, no, I'm not planning on using them. But somebody said, this is very interesting to me. She said, it doesn't look like you because there's no soul in your eyes.
Oh, that's a good point.
And that's whenever we're trying to act perfect or whenever we're trying to be somebody we're not, we lose that sparkle, we lose that soul in our eyes. Some of those AI generated pictures were like, some of them, they were funny to me. Some of them, I didn't post all of them, but some of me made me very large, busted, and other ones made me busted, and other ones made me super, super skinny and, and unproportioned. It was just crazy looking at all these AI shots, right? But they're not real, and we spot that among, like, there's a photographer posted on my Facebook. She's like, I don't think you should use any of these. You want some tips about professional headshots? And I was sort of laughing, like, I'm not planning on using them. I was playing, Right. Me, who always talks about authenticity, is not going to have an AI generated headshot. I was playing. So,
and that's a terrific point, because, and I just noticed somebody's comment in here too, that no soul in your eyes. It's like when we try and be somebody we're not, we end up being nobody because we just diffuse who we are.
Exactly. And we're denying ourselves. There was one time, my husband and I, we lived in California. We're coming back from Las Vegas on Thanksgiving weekend on a Sunday. What propelled us to do that, I'll never know. And so, we had to go down the 15, then we had to go down the 395. Well, the 15, or not the 395, I forget the other highway, but we'd go down the 15, but almost from the Nevada-California border all the way to our cutoff, which was probably maybe 100 miles, was stop and go. And then we get on this other road. I mean, it took us 8 hours to get home when typically it took us 3. But we're sitting there on this road, and, it's all desert. Now, I do not sing, so...
Okay.
But I'm sitting there, and the song was on the radio, and I'm going, I can see for miles and miles. And I'm like really rocking it, like I'm moving my hand. And my husband's like, people probably, he said, all the people in the car singing. He goes, you are just so weird. I said, and I forget exactly how it went, but I was like, I was born this way. I was born this. I'm just being me. And so, what other people think. I'm never going to see these people in the cars again.
Oh, that's great.
And so it's really important. Okay, this is how the conversation went. My husband said, you're so weird. I said, no, well, you made me weird, Mike. Mike's like, no, you was born that way. That was okay. I was born weird. I like being silly. I like having fun. I can be loud. I can be all these things. And if I try to be super quiet, then I'm just not being me. When I get quiet, my family, it drives me nuts because I do have quiet moments. Whenever I get quiet, everybody's like, what's wrong, Cindy? What's wrong? Are you okay? What's wrong? Because they know that it's not naturally who I am. So if you're the quiet type, like Dumont's a lot more quiet than me. If she tried to be loud like me, it wouldn't be right. And you guys would notice it a mile away.
Now, I do get loud with my husband, so he might totally, come up with a different opinion.
My maiden name is Bass, like the fish. My entire life, literally my entire life, I've been called Big Mouth Bass.
Oh, no.
So it's just like, and it doesn't bug me. It just, and so I met my husband, and my husband is an avid bass fisherman. I always tell him it's the only reason he ever dated me. I had the right last name, right? So he told all of his friends, and you have to remember, I was coming out of my hell years. I was coming out of a very bad divorce and just a lot of tragedy that had happened in my life that is way too long to go into now. But I was really discovering who I was and learning to trust myself. So I was really quiet. And Mike is telling all of his friends that he found himself a smallmouth bass. And so then my uncle was in town. So I asked him to take me to visit my uncle. And Mike was like, oh my God, she's not a smallmouth bass. She's a big mouth bass. No. Because he's like, because I feel comfortable around my family. And so I just totally let my personality out. Mike's like, holy crap, where did this come from? But be yourself. Just like, again, you don't have to share all your secrets, but you want people to know who you are, because otherwise they're never going to trust you. So your superpower is just being who you are. And that's why I added step into who you are with outrageous confidence.
I love that.
Because outrageous means bold, peculiar, or something different. But it doesn't mean it has to be bold, peculiar, and something different to everybody. It means you are doing something that's bold, peculiar, or different for you.
Yeah.
Years ago, I went to this event, and my roommate that was sharing the room with me, she told me, she goes, Cindy, that sweater makes you look fat and frumpy.
Oh, great.
Nobody wants to look fat and frumpy, right?
Nobody wants a roommate like that.
And she goes, I would only wear that sweater like at home. So for a couple years, I only wore that sweater at home because I didn't want to be fat and frumpy, right? So it was a little bit cold outside, and I had some errands to run. I went to 4 or 5 different stores. At each place I went, somebody came up to me and said, oh, you're so beautiful, and that sweater is so flattering on you.
Wow.
And I thought, why in the hell am I letting one person's opinion dictate what I wear? So I went home. I had my husband take a picture of me wearing the sweater from head to toe. Typically, I don't like head to toe pictures, but I had him take this, and I sent it to my email list. That was me being outrageously confident.
Yeah.
Me posting my bald head on Facebook was being outrageously confident. So it's simply doing something that makes you step out of your comfort zone. In December of 2019, I went on a family cruise, and my daughter had been trying to get me to go ziplining. So we go to this, we went to this place, and she goes, Mom, if they will let me charge the zip line to my cabin, will you go ziplining with me? And I'm like, okay, thinking they're not going to let, but I didn't realize that the cruise line owned the island we was on.
Oh.
So she charged it. So I'm a person of my word, right? So I strapped up and go ziplining. So first I went from point A to point B, and I fell in love with it. I would go ziplining in a heartbeat. I thought it was the coolest thing.
Wow.
Right? A to B. And then I went from point B to point C. And I'm standing there cussing my daughter because there is a 50-foot cargo net bridge that I had to walk up to get to the next station.
Oh.
Where I ziplined back.
Oh my gosh. I know those bridges are scary.
I'm like, okay, it took me a long time. My daughter actually passed me on this, right? Because she was behind me, but she actually passed me on it. But her and the operator on the other side, you can do it. You can do it. Come on, you can do it, right there, really cheering me on. Mm-hmm. This really made me step out of my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. But hey, I did have a choice. I could have said, hey, take me down right here. But I decided again to be bold, to just continue. And I can tell you that when I finished that was the most exhilarating experience, because I was so proud of myself for going up that cargo net bridge.
Yeah, Cindy, that does not sound like something I want to try. But I'm really glad you survived and you're here to tell the story. So listen, I want to make sure that you can talk about your program, because
I want to real quick. I'll go through the other ones. Mistake number 3 is not investing in yourself or investing too much. Dumont had talked about that earlier. Before you purchase a program or anything, ask yourself, am I going to use it right now? Is it going to help me right now? Because a lot of, this 7-figure earners, as I always call them, they know how to sell, and they use tactics thinking you need it right this minute. But take a step back and ask yourself, do I really need it? On the other hand, don't be afraid to spend money, because you need to spend money to grow and to save time. If you're trying to discover how to do everything all on your own, it's going to take you years longer than if you find somebody that can lead you through the steps. So mistake number 4, and this is a very important one, is you're putting your eggs all in one basket. So I have people say that they just think they need one thing. You need multiple streams of visibility. Even though Dumont only uses LinkedIn, she has multiple streams of visibility. She uses referral partners. She collaborates with other experts. She writes on her website, right? There's more than just LinkedIn. But don't just put your eggs in one basket, because some people, and I have known people even who they have like 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers on Facebook, and Facebook changes its algorithm and can kill you overnight. Before I became a coach, this is what led me to coaching. I was placing Google ads selling other people's stuff, and I was netting about $5,000 a month. Utilizing Google ads, I was netting $5,000 a month selling other people's stuff. It was a lot of number crunching, which isn't I know how to do it, but it's not something I super enjoy.
Yeah.
But Google changed its algorithm, killed my business overnight. So if you have your own business and you only have one basket, your business can be killed overnight. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. You need your own stuff that nobody can change, your own website that you're purchasing for the hosting with, your own email list, because nobody can ever take that away from you. I don't care what strategy you use. I always say all roads need to lead to your email list, because you own your email list and you have control over that. And you're not going to lose it if Facebook changes its algorithm or LinkedIn changes its algorithm or any of the other stuff. Mistake number 5 is not repurposing content. You have to constantly be coming up with new ideas. I can take a 500-word article and I can create over 100 social media posts out of it.
Wow.
So if you write one blog post a month or one 500-word article a month and you utilize my system, you will have enough social media posts for the entire month. And this is just using one, it's 12 articles a year, you'll have all the social media posts you need. Stop trying to constantly come up with new content. When you know what your message is, you can repurpose your content.
Yeah, Cindy, that's something that we've heard from other people too, and I think it's a really valid point, especially when you're talking about visibility, because you have to turn out more stuff.
Right. And, building your email list too. It's not enough just to say, join my newsletter or join my email list. Nobody wants to do that. You need to create an irresistible opt-in gift that's going to get people to your list. You need to be constantly sharing that everywhere. That being said, you can head on over to visibilitychecklist.com and download your 9 steps to visibility at visibilitychecklist.com. But also, Dumont had asked me to give you guys something special. So I have it will be next Saturday on August 5th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific. So that's 1 to 4 Eastern. I am having the Repurpose Your Content workshop. It is $97 to attend it. And you're going to be sharing with you 12 questions to ask. I'm asking everybody to write a 500-word article and bring it to the workshop.
Wow.
And I'm going to be holding your hand during the workshop and asking you these questions and helping you find all these social media posts that you can pull out of that one article. This helps you keep your content consistent throughout, right? Because your messaging helps you keep your messaging consistent. It's you have a message and you have your blog post has that message. Now you have all these 100 different ways that are leading people back to that same message. And they're all a little bit different. So you're attracting people who are attracted to different types of messaging. And I'm not just talking about take this post and create a video out of the same thing and then create an infographic and do an audio. You can easily do those. But with these 12 questions, different people are attracted to different types of content. Some people are attracted to comedy. Some people are attracted to facts. Some people are attracted to drama. So these questions help you dig out these different aspects out of your article. So now you're going to be talking to different people and what attracts them the most. It's going to increase your reach dramatically just by repurposing your content in this way. So I had given, you have the link, right, that you can share with them?
I don't think I do, Cindy.
I posted it. I don't know if you see it. I posted it in our chat.
Oh, I see it right now. Okay, here we go.
So if you want to post that for everybody, you can go there. As I said, it's only $97. You spend 3 to 4 hours with me, and you're going to walk away with 100 different social media posts you can utilize for that one thing. And it doesn't matter if you just use LinkedIn, because you can still utilize this if you're only on one platform. It's not like create a reel, then create a video. You can utilize them in the different platforms, and I share that with you.
That's terrific. And Cindy, folks, I'm going to tell you, if you have been trying to think about how you can take your content and expand it, because let's face it, we don't have that much time. Yeah. I mean, Cindy's a great writer. You've written several books right now.
I've just written, I've been in a few books, but
okay.
I've written just one book, and I'm actually in the process of writing a business book.
Oh, okay. All right. Cindy wrote an amazing book that I have and that I read, and that just really affected me emotionally. So I would definitely suggest that you do that. But if you want to learn how to take, a set amount of content and repurpose it and get more acreage or more reach out of it, what Cindy's telling you is just so valuable. And I know that well, you are the visibility queen after all. But I have been following you for a long time, and yeah. That's left over from your divorce coach days. Here, it's all better. We proclaim this marriage over. So, Cindy, thank you so much. And everyone, another thing that I will suggest is that you get in touch with Cindy on social media, because this is another way she has. You've heard her talking about some of the posts and some of the ways that she gets out there and represents herself authentically. And that has been a theme throughout this entire summit, being who you are, being authentic. And you also talked about fears a little bit, Cindy. And I know that, the fear that used to stop me from getting in front of a camera was just something might happen that I can't control, or the fear of getting on a live broadcast because something might happen that I couldn't control. Well, guess what? It does. It has, and it does, and it will again. We just have to be willing to take a chance on it, and that's what we can do.
We have no control over anything, really. I mean, things happen constantly, and it's learning to go with the flow, basically. It's like, but no, too, regardless what happens, we can deal with it. I honestly believe nothing happens to us that we can't handle. And so whenever you just think, hey, keep telling yourself, I can handle anything, whatever happens, I can figure it out. I can go with it. We don't think we can, but when something's hit with us, we have no choice but to do it. For instance, I have panic attacks with eye doctors. Okay?
Wow.
And I've had lots of problems with my right eye. I injured it during a car accident when I was 18. So a couple weeks ago, I had a complete panic attack, breakdown in the doctor's office. Like at first, my regular doctor didn't come in. This lady comes in. She goes, I'm so-and-so, student doctor. And I said, you're not touching me. I started crying, right? And I felt so dumb afterwards. She was very nice. She remembers me. I seen her again a couple days ago. I have to have surgery on my eye on Monday. Well, I have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Even though, this is the fourth surgery I've had on the eye. It's not like I don't know what's going to happen. I am nervous about it because I have this thing. But we deal with what we have to deal with in business and in life. Like, I'm not going to go blind because I'm afraid of the eye doctor.
Right. Hopefully.
It's like, what's my alternative, right? So I will go have this surgery on Monday. And so it's just interesting. So no, if anything that's ever happened to you in your life, you've handled it. And it's the same thing in business. Whenever the unknown happens, you're going to handle it.
Yeah.
There's always a million ways to handle it, but you're going to handle it to the best of your ability based on where you are at that point in time. And as long as you have faith that you're going to do that, that's real confidence. Confidence is not doing stuff perfectly. Confidence is, I'm going to do the best I can, regardless what happens to me.
Yeah, and Cindy, I think you've made a great point of that. Plus, you've demonstrated that with the way that you lead your life and your business. You are the definition of resiliency. This woman had COVID. Just a little while. When I first met you, you were still going through all of that. In fact, I remember the hat. I liked one of your hats a lot. But yes, it has been just amazing to listen to you and to, what I always think of when I hear you speak is the what's the word I want? Because I started to say resilience, and that's not the word I want. But how we can raise to confront and to meet the challenges that come in life. Because, well, what other choice do we have? We can spend the day in bed with the covers drawn over our heads, and I have done that. I will admit that has been a coping mechanism I have tried. But every time I hear you and every time you speak, you always impart this sense of calm and of confidence, self-confidence. And your point about you're never going to be perfect. None of us are ever going to be perfect. All we can do is be the best version of us we can be. So And so Cindy, folks, if you haven't gotten to know Cindy yet, get to know her now. And please do what I've asked you to do with everyone else. Connect with her on social media. And you're, I think, on Facebook more than the others.
I'm on Facebook more than the others. It's been, I haven't been as consistent with the posting as I typically am, but I am on Facebook more than the others. I'm in the process. I've been learning a lot about Instagram Reels. So I'm going to be showing up on Instagram more within the next month or so. I'm creating the plan, but then too with what I want to do. So I'm showing up as me, because I did try it, like go there and dance, but that's not me. And I do have a plan of action based on, again, what's me. And, but learning a lot about the reels. But I've always loved Facebook. You can find me everywhere. But again, you'll find posts, but I'm not, I engage more on Facebook right now than anywhere else.
Okay. Listen, thank you so much, Cindy.
You're very, very welcome.
This has been just amazing. And I want to thank you too for forgiving me for messing up your time.
Oh, no problem at all. No.
You know, anyway, folks, we're going to.
I believe wholeheartedly that everything happens for a reason. I mean, and I haven't always been this way. Dumont mentioned my book earlier. It's on Amazon. If you go put my name, you're going to find it. It's my memoir of overcoming an abusive life to become a successful businesswoman. And it's like, regardless what happens, you can overcome it. And it's not being perfect. It's just being willing to change and looking at yourself.
Yeah, that's so insightful, Cindy. And tell people the name of your book so that they can look for it.
It's Overcoming Dark Family Secrets.
Yeah.
And it can be very triggering for some people. But, you know, I'm like, whenever you're going through anything, I don't care what it is, you just deal with it. And a lot of times our lives are just our lives, and we're very used to it. And whenever change happens, we're going to change with it. And it might take time. But I always say, to me, this always really shows how we get so conditioned to whatever's happening to us, regardless how terrible it is. Mm-hmm. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law used to beat the holy crap out of each other. Like, they were always calling the cops on each other. Neighbors would call cops on them. They were just horrible. My ex and I, we yelled. We very loud. He used to go, we never argue. We just have loud discussions. And boy, was it loud. So my kids were used to the loud. They were used to the arguing. And typically I would never have them being babysat by my brother and sister-in-law. But one day, through a series of events, they landed there. My daughter was 5. My son was 4. Their children were 2 and 3. So both my kids, Amy and Brian, they said they're watching cartoons with their cousins, and their aunt and uncle started fist fighting each other. Oh my kids were hugging each other, holding on for dear life. They were terrified. They're both in their 40s now, and they both remember this incident very clearly because it terrified them. It traumatized them, watching these 2 adults beat the crap out of each other. But what my daughter really noticed, even though she was 5 at the time, is that her cousins continued to watch cartoons and continued laughing at the TV and acted like nothing.
Notice it.
Because they were conditioned to do it. And that's how we get conditioned. We get conditioned that way in our businesses, in our lives, in our relationships. Like, it's this horrible thing, but we don't see it as being horrible because somehow we've just learned to live with it. But there is always a way to step out of whatever's happening. Sometimes if you're terrified, like you're never not going to make money, you are coming at your business differently than if you're like, I trust everything's going to work out.
Yes, you're right.
It's conditioning, and it's learning to recondition yourself and telling yourself happier thoughts. One of the big things that I did when I was a divorce coach is I had all my clients write out their own personal bill of rights. So you have, as a business owner, you have the right to share your expertise. You have the right to be successful. You have the right to make money. You have the right to be you. You have the right to be contradictory. If somebody's doing something in the industry that you don't like, and somebody had said this, how do you stand out from the crowd? You look at everybody in your industry is doing, and you ask yourself, what's missing? And you start talking about that, you're going to stand out. Visibility, all visibility for the last long time, constantly. Video.
Yeah.
So I started talking about 7 ways to be visible offline.
Very cool. Very cool.
Off camera, not offline, off camera.
Off camera. Okay.
Yeah. 7 ways to be visible off camera, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody's talking. So that set me apart, because now I'm talking about something different. They're like, huh? What? I don't have to be on video to be visible?
Wow. Well, listen, Cindy, I'm going to wrap this up because we have someone new coming on, someone that you know, Eric K. Johnson.
I love Eric. You guys
yeah, exactly. So he's going to be joining us in a few minutes. Cindy, thank you so much as usual. You were inspiring, and I just can't say enough. Thank you. And
I just want to remind the audience, you want to go ahead and join the workshop, because you're definitely going to get a lot out of it.
Oh, and I absolutely will reinforce that, because I have been to Cindy's workshops, and you're going to learn amazing stuff. So, okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.